Hi, this is Mo Bunnell, your host here at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. I'm author of The Snowball System, and I and my teams have trained over 15,000 experts all over the world. We focus on training business development techniques, how to do things authentically, efficiently, effectively. How do you grow your book of business? How do you grow your relationships? And how do you grow your career, taking control so you can do the types of work that you want? And in this sequence of videos, we're going to talk with Shawn Blanc. Shawn is a mentor of mine. He's got over 50,000 people that follow him, and they sign up for his email list to get his advice on focus, on how to do things efficiently, on how to do things with productivity in mind. And Shawn's content is just wide and it's deep, and it's focused on everything around getting focus on what you want, not just in business, but in your broader life. I think that's really cool. And then how do you productively, how do you efficiently, how do you effectively get those things done? Really neat mindset to apply to business development. So in this video, I asked Shawn, what's the number one thing he can share with us about getting better at business development? Let's go. Shawn Blanc, I'm so excited to have you on Real Relationships, Real Revenue. You've made a big impact on my life, even an impact on my family's life. And your concepts we use and we talk around the dinner table. And I can't wait to see where you're going to take this today. So let's start right off the top. What big idea do you have that can help our audience, people with one foot in delivering some deep expertise and one foot into finding people to say yes to it, or retention or growth activities? What big idea do you have to help them do a better job at business development?
Thanks, Mo. It's an honor to be here for sure. So my big idea for your group, as I've been thinking about this, is the concept of margin, or you could call it breathing room. One of the easiest examples is when you think about reading a book. If you have a paperback book and you open it up, like yours right there, that's the hardcover, it looks like. But you open up the book, and on the page, there's the margins. And it's that space between the end of the line of the word and then before the page literally is chopped off. Margin in our life, breathing room in our life, is that space between basically the core, the concept, like the stuff, the energy, what we're doing, what we have, what we're responsible for, and then literally the end of the page, or the limit, or where we now fall off the edge of the cliff. And especially, I think, in the world of business and sales and all that we do, we carry so much with our family life, our work life, all of this. And it's very easy for us to basically take our energy, what we're responsible for, all of that, and push it right up to the limit where there's zero margin in our lives. And that's not healthy. That's not good.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Do you remember? I feel like we talked about this once a year or two ago. And you wrote a post on margin. It just struck me like a lightning bolt. And I think we had a conversation peeling margin apart a little bit into the 4 Herman brain dominance instrument quadrants. Do you remember this? So like you can have
vaguely. Yes.
You can have margin in your metrics. You're either ahead or behind. Boy, you can feel pressure if you're behind on metrics. You have margin in your process. When you're right up to the edge about on a deliverable, you don't do your best work. You could have margin in relationships. Boy, does it help to have a lot of sort of extra goodwill in the bank if you need to ask for a favor. And you could have margin in strategy, shooting too high or higher than you need, or doing more than you need strategically can help give you. So let's double click on your idea of margin. What do you think when it comes to business development? Do any of those really strike a chord with you? What would you tell our audience?
Absolutely. So for me, I am a super one in yellow. So I can relate really quickly to the big picture. Show me the big idea, and I need all those ideas, and I'm constantly coming up with ideas. And for me, having breathing room in my life, or having the margin in my life, that helps me a lot to kind of lean into that strength as a yellow thinker, is giving myself the time to be able to come up with those ideas and to sort of riff on those ideas. And then I also know that when I go under stress, I kind of go a little bit more towards red, and I lean into my relationships when I'm stressed out. And having those relationships there where I've got the equity, I've got people that I can call on. And again, giving myself the time, that breathing room, that's a huge one for me because I feel constantly the need to fill every moment of my day with something productive, and reminding myself that time to think and time to just let ideas take space for me personally, that having that margin is so critical. So that's a huge one. As far as on the blue and the green, there's definitely stuff we can get into there that I'm not quite as familiar with. I know for sure, like with the blue and like the needing to dial in and have all the details in place with the process. And when we have the lead measure like stuff, there's that breathing room ahead. So we're, like you were saying, not right up against the process. And you've got like the next steps, sort of you're working ahead, you're working on stuff that's due down the road, not due tomorrow morning. And that can be really helpful as well with the processes and stuff like that. So
I love it. And I've got to decode things. You did a really nice job of it, but for your audience, because our audience might not know the colors, but you would like give the code word afterwards. So yellow would be margin in yellow would be margin and strategy. Margin in red would be margin with relationships, having that goodwill in the bank, that battery's charged, if you will. Margin in process would be green, and margin in numbers. If you're above or below whatever financial or so whatever metric you have, outreaches, whatever you measure, having margin in that is important. So let's have one last question on this episode. When you think of business development in all those four quadrants, in those four different ways of having margin, what do you think is the most important for our audience to think about?
Oh, man, this is perfect. I've been thinking about this question, and I know we're going to get into it later on in a future episode, but it's unto relationships. And for business and in personal life, both, margin really primarily exists for our relationships. And, just something to think about is when you have no margin in your life, whether it be you have no financial margin, you have no margin with your time, there's no breathing room there with your schedule, you don't have any energy, you're completely tapped out of your physical energy, your creative energy, any of these areas, then you have very little strength left over for relationships. And that includes at home as well as work, as well as with the business development side. And that's a huge one. So margin exists for relationships.
Oh, I love it. All right, Shawn. So one last question. I know people are going to dig what you're saying and want to learn more about you. What would you advise them to do?
Yeah, we have an entire course on this, and you can find it at our website, thefocuscourse.com. And we've got stuff there on time management, focus, and margin as well.
And that's how we met, was the Focus Course. Yeah,
it
is really, really good content. So folks, check it out. All right, thanks, Shawn. And we'll see you at the next episode. Everybody, if you're listening to this, you're going to hear the next one. We're going to focus and we're going to do a deep dive in how to use margin to help people with their opportunities.